Over the last two chapters, your phone learned where the satellite is and how to time its transmissions perfectly. But both of those assumed you were already connected. Today we rewind to the very first moment, the first message your phone ever sends to a satellite before it has any timing correction at all, across a link that takes half a second round trip. This is random access in NTN. 4 messages, each crossing that half-second gap, and the clever trick that stops the whole thing from falling apart. First, how this works on the ground. To connect, your phone runs a 4-step handshake called random access. Message 1 is a short preamble, a known signal your phone fires off on the random access channel. The base station hears it, and here's the key part. It measures exactly how late that preamble arrived. That arrival delay tells it how far away you are. So in message 2, the random access response, it sends back a timing advance command telling your phone how much earlier to transmit from now on. Message 3 is your first real uplink data, your connection request, sent using that new timing, and message 4 resolves any collision if 2 phones picked the same preamble. On the ground, this whole exchange takes a few milliseconds. The network measures your timing and hands it to you. Now put that satellite 36,000 kilometers up. The problem is immediate. If your phone fires a preamble with no timing correction, it arrives at the ground station up to 540 milliseconds late. The base station is supposed to measure that delay and send back a correction. But the timing advance command in the random access response is only 12 bits wide. It was designed to nudge a phone that's already inside a cell. A few kilometers out, it physically cannot express half a second of delay, and the preamble's guard period can't absorb that offset either. So the ground trick, measure the arrival and correct it, completely breaks. The network cannot measure its way to your timing across a gap this large. Something has to give. Here's how NTN solves it. Instead of the network measuring your timing, your phone computes it itself before it ever transmits. Remember from Chapter 2, your phone already knows the satellite's position from the ephemeris in SIB-19, and it knows its own position from GNSS. That's 2 points in space, so it can calculate the exact distance, the propagation delay, and therefore the full timing advance it needs. It also adds the common timing advance from SIB-19, the network's share of the delay. Then it applies that entire correction to message 1. So the preamble doesn't arrive half a second late. It arrives aligned, landing right where the base station expects it. Because the phone pre-compensates, the leftover error is tiny, just a few microseconds. So the standard preamble formats still work, unchanged. And the timing advance command in the response now only has to trim that small residual, which fits comfortably in 12 bits. Your phone brings its own timing to the very first message. That is the heart of NTN random access. Getting message 1 right is only half the battle. The other 3 messages have to survive the same half-second gap. Take the random access response. On the ground, your phone starts listening for it almost immediately. But over a satellite, the response can't possibly come back for at least a full round trip. So if the phone listened right away, it would just burn power decoding nothing. Instead, NTN shifts the start of the response window later by the cell's K offset, the same scheduling offset we met in Chapter 2. The phone only starts listening once the reply could actually have arrived. Message 3 works the same way. The grant that schedules your uplink data is pushed into the future by K offset, so you're never told to transmit before you physically can, exactly the transmit in the past problem from last chapter. And the contention resolution timer, the one waiting for message 4, is stretched to cover the full round trip, so it doesn't expire while your answer is still in flight. Every single timing relationship in random access gets pushed out far enough to absorb 540 milliseconds. Same handshake as the ground, just spread across half a second of space. There's one more optimization, and over a satellite it really matters. Notice the 4-step handshake crosses the gap twice before you're even connected. Preamble up, response down, data up, resolution down. At half a second per round trip, that's over a second of setup, just waiting on physics. So NTN leans on 2-step random access. Instead of 4 messages, your phone combines the preamble and its first data into a single transmission. Message A, the network replies once. Message B, that collapses 2 round trips into one, saving roughly half a second of connection time. When every round trip is this expensive, cutting one out is a big deal. 4 steps still exists, and it's more robust under heavy contention. But for NTN, 2-step is often the smarter choice, because in space the round trips are what cost you. So, the first hello to a satellite, start to finish. Your phone pre-computes its full timing advance from GNSS and ephemeris, and applies it to the very first preamble, so message 1 arrives aligned. The response window opens only after the round trip. The uplink grant is pushed out by K offset, and the contention timer is stretched to cover the gap. The network never has to measure half a second of delay, because your phone brought its own timing. You're connected. But now the real work begins, pushing data back and forth across that same half second without stalling. That's HARC over half a second next time. Subscribe to RANspace so you don't miss it.